Namaste students, welcome to biology class. So in the previous session we have discussed about the division Gymnospermae. So altogether we have discussed about 4 different divisions under kingdom Plantae. They are algae, bryophytes, pteridophytes and gymnosperms. So today let us discuss about one more division included under kingdom Plantae, that is division Angiospermae. Okay. So members of Angiospermae are commonly called as angiosperms. We call all the flowering plants as angiosperms. So these angiosperms are spermatophytes. Both gymnosperms as well as angiosperms are spermatophytes. So spermatophytes are those plant body which produces seeds or which bears seeds. Note down this terminology. Spermatophytes are those plants that produce seeds or that bears seeds. So you know that gymnosperms also produce seeds, angiosperms also produce seeds. But what is the difference between gymnosperms and angiosperms? In gymnosperms, seeds are not enclosed within the fruit. They are naked seeded plants, whereas angiosperms are those spermatophytes which produce seeds and seeds are enclosed within the fruit. So angiosperms are spermatophytes, they produce seeds. But seeds are enclosed inside the fruits or within the fruits because these angiosperms have a definite ovary or ovary wall. So whenever the embryo develops into or whenever the ovule develops into seeds, the ovary wall develops into fruits. So seeds are enclosed within the fruits. Sporophylls are formed in angiosperms and they are well organized into flowers. Sporophylls are well organized into flowers. And we have also observed about sporophylls in gymnosperms as well as pteridophytes, right? So even in angiosperms also sporophylls are formed and these sporophylls are organized into flowers. Even pollen grains and ovule are also developed in flowers. Pollen grains and ovules are developed in specialized structures known as flowers. Coming to the habitat of angiosperms. Angiosperms have got wide range of habitat. They are found in almost all the geographical areas. It may be in aquatic habitats. They are found in aquatic habitat, it may be fresh water or marine water. They are found in mesic habitat or moderate habitat. They are found in terrestrial habitat. It may be in the region where there is moderate temperature or even in the region where there is very high temperature, that is in xeric habitats. They are found in mesic habitats or xeric habitat. Mesic habitat is the area where there is moderate temperature. Xeric habitat is that area where there is very high temperature. For example, deserts. Deserts are xeric habitats. So, flowering plants or angiosperms have wide range of habitats. And even in aquatic habitat, they may be found in freshwater habitat, and there are certain angiosperms they are also found in marine habitat. For example, there is a plant, very few plants are found in marine habitat, especially the flowering plants or angiosperms found in marine habitat. For example, there is a plant named seagrass or Zostera that grows in marine habitat which produces flowers. Zostera. Zostera is commonly called as seagrass which produces flowers and they are found in marine habitat in oceans. Okay, so they are found in the angiosperms have wide range of habitat. Now coming to the size of the angiosperms. The angiosperms vary in size from microscopic to very tall trees. There are certain angiosperms which are very minute plant bodies and there are certain angiosperms which are the tallest plants. Okay. For example, there is the smallest angiosperm named Ulfia. Smallest or microscopic angiospermic plant named Ulfia. So this Ulfia is very small or minute microscopic plant body which usually measures around 0.1 centimeter. which measures only to around 0.1 centimeters. Such small or minute microscopic plant is Wolffia. And the tallest tree among angiosperms is eucalyptus. Eucalyptus. There is a species named regnans, which is a tallest tree under angiosperms. Eucalyptus regnans. So this Eucalyptus regnans can grow up to a height for more than 100 meters. More than 100 meters. Okay. So more than 100 meters means in terms of feet it is almost more than 300 or 350 feet. Okay. So angiosperms also have tallest plants or tallest trees which can grow up to more than 100 meter or more than 300 or 350 feet. Okay. So next let us discuss about the dominant plant body of angiosperms. The dominant plant body of angiosperm is a sporophyte. Dominant plant body is sporophyte. So this sporophyte is a diploid plant body. Sporophyte is a diploid plant body. Sporophyte is a diploid plant body. And you know that the angiosperms have well-defined or well-differentiated root system as well as shoot system. Okay, the sporophytic plant body has got well-differentiated root system and shoot system. Root system and shoot system. And they have got specialized structures. These angiosperms produce specialized structure. Whenever the angiosperms reaches the stage of maturity, they produce specialized structure known as flowers. Specialized structures known as flowers. Flowers have sex organs in them. Flowers have sporophylls as well as they produce sex organs in them, and within the structure of the flowers, male and female gametophytes are formed. So before going to the structure of male and female gametophyte, first we will note down the structure of a flower. So now let us discuss the structure of a typical flower. Flower is a highly reduced structure. Okay. Flower is a specialized structure formed in angiosperms. Okay. So this flower consists of distinct parts. A typical flower has got a stalk-like structure known as pedicel. The tip of the pedicel is swollen to form thalamus, and thalamus is also called as receptacle. And on the thalamus, various whorls of the flowers are arranged. Okay, or various units of the flowers are arranged. So some of the units of the flowers are sepals, petals, stamens and carpels. You know that the units of flowers are sepals, petals, stamens and carpel. So all the sepals are arranged in a whorl. They are arranged in a circular manner to form a whorl. All the sepals that are arranged in a whorl forms a whorl known as calyx. Whorl called calyx. And within the whorl of calyx, there are many petals arranged in a whorl, and the whorl forms corolla. The whorl of petals is known as corolla, and within the corolla there is a whorl of stamens which form androecium, and within the whorl of androecium there is the innermost whorl consists of carpels, and whorl is named as gynoecium. So the four whorls of a typical flower are calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium. So what are the units of calyx? The units of calyx are sepals. Units of corolla are petals. Units of androecium are stamens. Units of gynoecium are carpels. So among these four whorls of a flower, Some of the whorls are considered as essential whorls, some of the whorls are considered as non-essential whorls. So among these four whorls of the flower, the outermost two whorls, that is calyx and corolla, are considered as non-essential whorls. They are called as non-essential whorls or accessory whorls. Non-essential or accessory whorls. They are also named as accessory whorls because they are not directly involved in sexual reproduction. Whereas the innermost two whorls, that is andrecium and gynoecium, they are considered as essential whorls. They are considered as essential whorls because they are directly involved in sexual reproduction. Okay, they are directly involved in sexual reproduction. They are the actual reproductive units of a flower. Okay, so this andrecium and gynoecium consists of stamens and carpels respectively. Okay, andrecium consists of stamens, gynoecium consists of carpels. So here stamens represent the male reproductive unit and carpels are the female reproductive units. Note it down. Stamens are the male reproductive units and carpels are the female reproductive units. Now we note down the structure of stamens. What are the parts present in the stamen? You know that stamens consist of two distinct parts. The long slender tubular structure of a stamen is known as filament. The tip of the filament has got a lobed structure. And is called anther. Tip of the filament has got lobed structure known as anther. So these are the parts of a stamen. So stamen consists of two distinct parts: long tubular slender structure known as filament. Tip of the filament has got lobed structure known as anther. Okay, so it is inside this anther. Inside the anther, there are microsporangium. Okay, inside the anther there are microsporangia, and inside each microsporangia there are microspore mother cells which undergo meiotic division to form many microspores, and microspores develop into a male gametophyte known as pollen grain. Okay, so whenever you take a transverse section of the anther, horizontal section of the anther, you can observe that inside each anther there are 4 microsporangia. Okay, I just draw the image of the transverse section of anther. So when you take a transverse section of anther, you can observe the transverse section like this. So this transverse section of anther shows 4 microsporangia. Microsporangia is a plural form. 4 microsporangia are present. Inside each microsporangia, 4 microsporangia are present. Inside each microsporangia, this is the transverse section of anther. Inside each microsporangia, there are many microspore mother cells which undergo meiotic division. So in each anther, in each microsporangia, there are microspore mother cells, and these microspore mother cells undergo meiosis or meiotic division to form microspores. Each microspore develop into a pollen grain. And pollen grains are the male gametophytes of angiosperms. Okay, pollen grains are the male gametophytes of angiosperms. Pollen grain represents the male gametophyte of angiosperm. Okay, hope you understood about the male reproductive unit. Okay, so male reproductive unit is stamen. Stamen consists of filament and anther. The transverse section of the anther shows that there are 4 microsporangia inside each anther, and each microsporangia has got large number of microspore mother cell which undergoes meiotic division to form many microspores, and each microspore develops into a pollen grain, and pollen grain is the male gametophyte of angiosperm. Now let us discuss about the female reproductive unit of an angiosperm. You know that the female reproductive unit of an angiosperm is known as carpel. Okay, carpel. So each carpel consists of 3 distinct parts. Note it down. Each carpel consists of 3 distinct parts. They are ovary, style and stigma. Ovary, style and stigma. So this is the thalamus, pedicel, thalamus. On the thalamus there is the female reproductive part, that is carpel, and each carpel consists of 3 distinct parts. They are ovary, the basal swollen structure known as ovary. The basal swollen part of carpel is known as ovary. The tip of the ovary has got long slender tubular structure known as style. Long slender tubular structure known as style, and the tip of the style has got flattened structure which forms a landing platform for the pollen grain, okay, known as stigma. Known as stigma. Okay, ovary is the basal swollen part, and above the ovary there is a long slender tubular structure known as style. Tip of the style has got a flattened structure which forms a landing platform for the pollen grains to get deposited, and that structure is known as stigma. So these are the 3 distinct parts of a carpel, okay, or a pistil. We also call it as pistil, okay, pistil or carpel. Now within the ovary there is a cavity known as ovarian cavity. Within the ovary there is a cavity known as ovarian cavity. In the ovarian cavity there is a cushion-like structure. There is a cushion-like tissue known as placenta. Cushion-like tissue known as placenta. Attached to the placenta, there may be 1 to many ovules. Some of the flowers may be having only 1 ovule in their ovary, some may be having many. Okay, so within or attached to the placenta, there are ovules. Number of ovules vary in different flowers. These are the ovules. Okay, so these ovules are called as megasporangium. Note it down. Ovules are also called as megasporangium. Ovules are also termed as megasporangium. So each megasporangium or the ovule has got certain tissue in it known as nucellus tissue, and there are various parts in a megasporangium. Okay, so megasporangium is otherwise called as ovule. Inside the ovule or the megasporangium, there are certain megaspore mother cells which undergo meiotic division to form megaspores. So inside the megasporangium, there are megaspore mother cells. Okay, there is megaspore mother cell. This megaspore mother cell undergoes meiotic division, or meiosis to form megaspores. So generally, one megaspore mother cell undergoes meiotic division to form 4 megaspores. Among these 4 megaspores, only one of the megaspore remain functional, and that single functional megaspore develops into a female gametophyte. Okay? Among these 4 megaspores, 3 of the megaspores will degenerate. Only one will remain functional. So this functional megaspore then develops into a female gametophyte. And this female gametophyte is named as embryo sac. Female gametophyte is named as embryo sac. So we have noted down that the male gametophyte is formed inside, or male gametophyte is formed from the microspores. Female gametophytes are formed from megaspore. And remember that the male gametophyte of angiosperm is pollen grain. Female gametophyte of angiosperm is embryo sac. And you know that gametophyte is such a plant body which produces gametes. So male gametes are formed inside the male gametophyte, that is pollen grain. Female gamete is formed inside the female gametophyte, that is embryo sac. Okay. So next let us discuss about the mode of fertilization in angiosperms. Now we will note down the structure of male and female gametophyte of an angiosperm. We have already noted down that the male gametophyte of an angiosperm is pollen grain and the female gametophyte of an angiosperm is embryo sac. Okay. The male gametophyte of an angiosperm, that is pollen grain, mainly consists of 2 cells. They are a vegetative cell and a generative cell. The pollen grain has got 2 wall layers. They are the outer wall layer and the inner wall layer, and within these 2 wall layers there are 2 cells. They are vegetative cell and generative cell. Vegetative cell and generative cell. And the 2 wall layers of this pollen grain are, the outer wall layer is known as exine, and the inner wall layer is known as intine. And in the exine wall layer, there are certain pores. They are called as germ pores. Okay. So pollen grain has 2 wall layers. Outer wall layer is exine, inner wall layer is intine, and the wall layer is not continuous. There are certain pores present in the wall layer and they are called as germ pore. And the pollen grain has 2 cells, or pollen grain consists of 2 cells. They are a vegetative cell and a generative cell. It is this generative cell which undergoes division to form 2 male gametes. This is a gametophyte. Inside the gametophyte, the generative cell undergoes division to form 2 male gametes. And always you have to remember that in angiosperms, the pollen grains produce 2 male gametes. One pollen grain produces 2 male gametes. Okay. Next, let us discuss about the female gametophyte of an angiosperm. The female gametophyte of an angiosperm is embryo sac. This embryo sac mainly consists of, this mature embryo sac mainly consists of 7 cells, but they are 8 nucleated stage. There are 7 cells, but there are 8 nuclei in those 7 cells. we'll see what are those cells present in the embryo sac. The embryo sac has 3 cells towards one end known as antipodal cells or antipodals. The 3 cells that are present here are the antipodal cells or antipodals. Antipodals. There are 3 antipodals found towards one end of the embryo sac. In the opposite end of the embryo sac, there are 3 cells. Even in the opposite end, there are 3 cells, and these 3 cells together are called egg apparatus. Together they are called as egg apparatus, and each egg apparatus has got one egg cell, and there are 2 cells known as synergids. There are 2 cells known as synergids. Okay, so one egg cell and these 2 synergids together form egg apparatus. Okay, so now we have noted down the 6 cells. 3 of the cells are known as antipodals. Towards the opposite end, there are 3 cells together form egg apparatus. Each egg apparatus has got one egg cell and 2 synergid cells. And towards the center, at the center of the embryo sac, there is a single large cell known as central cell. And this central cell has got 2 nuclei. You can observe here, there are 2 nuclei in the central cell. These 2 nuclei are called polar nuclei. They are called polar nuclei. So these 2 polar nuclei fuse together to form a diploid nucleus known as secondary nucleus. The 2 polar nuclei fuse together. You have to remember that all the cells here are haploid cells, because this embryo sac stage is preceded with meiotic division. Okay, because of meiotic division, megaspores are formed. Megaspores are haploid. The haploid megaspore then undergoes division to form haploid embryo sac. Okay, all the cells present in the female gametophyte are haploid. Okay, so polar nuclei, these are the haploid nuclei, they fuse together to form a diploid nucleus called secondary nucleus. So now we have noted down what are the cells present in male gametophyte as well as female gametophyte. You know that the male gametophyte produces 2 male gametes, and female gametophyte produces 1 egg cell. Okay, let us discuss about pollination. So during pollination, there is transfer of pollen grains. You know that pollen grains are formed inside the anther. So pollen grains are transferred from anther to the stigma of a flower. And they get deposited on the stigma of the flower. So this process of transfer of pollen grains, note it down, transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma of a flower is called pollination. So pollination may be mediated either by biotic agents or abiotic agents. Biotic agents are living organisms. Abiotic agents are non-living things. So pollen grains may be carried by abiotic agents like wind and water, or pollen grains can also be transferred with the help of biotic agents, that may be insects, bees, butterflies, birds, etc. Okay, so there are various agents that carry the pollen grains from flowers to another flower, or from the anther to the stigma of a flower. So transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma of a flower is known as pollination. Pollination may take place with the help of biotic agents or abiotic agents. Some of the biotic agents that are involved in transfer of pollen grains or that achieve pollination may be insects, butterflies, birds, etc. And the abiotic agents which mainly achieve pollination may be wind or water. So pollen grains are transferred from the anther to the stigma of a flower. Once the pollen grains are deposited on the stigma of a flower, the pollen grain germinates. The pollen grain germinates. So how do the pollen grain germinate? The pollen grain germinate by producing pollen tube. Once the pollen grain is deposited on the stigma of a flower, they start germinating by producing pollen tube. Pollen tubes are mainly formed through the pores. You know that there are on the pollen grains there are certain pores known as germ pores. When this germ pores, the the generative cell that is present in the pollen grain, this is the generative cell and this is the vegetative cell. You know that the inner wall layer is intine. So this intine wall layer protrudes outside through this germ pore and forms a pollen tube. The inner wall layer intine protrudes outside through the germ pore and this is known as pollen tube. This is called pollen tube. Now the pollen tube carries the contents of the pollen grain. Even the generative cell is also carried to the pollen tube. When the pollen tube is formed, this generative cell divides to form two male gametes. The generative cell divides to form two male gametes. Okay. So gametes or the pollen tube is carried till it enters the embryo sac. Pollen grains or pollen tube grows till it enters towards the embryo sac. Once the pollen tube reaches the embryo sac and enters the embryo sac, it releases the contents. That is, two male gametes are released inside the embryo sac, and then the fertilization takes place. Okay. So in case of angiosperms, there is a unique event of fertilization that takes place is known as double fertilization. Double fertilization. Double fertilization. So angiosperms exhibit a unique feature of double fertilization. So double fertilization mainly takes place because each pollen grain produces two male gametes. We'll see what are those two kinds of fertilization or fusion that takes place during double fertilization. You know that the pollen grain produces two male gametes and the two male gametes are released into the embryo sac. Among this, one of the male gamete fuses with one egg cell to form a diploid zygote. You know that male gamete is haploid, female gamete egg cell is haploid. Both these haploid cells fuse together to form a diploid cell, that is zygote. One more male gamete fuses with secondary nucleus. You know that secondary nucleus is formed inside the embryo sac by the fusion of two polar nuclei. Now what is the ploidy of secondary nucleus? Secondary nucleus is diploid because two haploid polar nuclei fuse together to form a diploid secondary nucleus. So male gamete, which is haploid, fuses with a diploid secondary nucleus to form a new type of cell which has got 3n number of ploidy or 3n number of chromosomes. 2n plus 1n forms 3n. So the nucleus that is formed is known as primary endosperm nucleus, which has the ploidy of 3n. 3n, that is triploid. Diploid nucleus fuses with the haploid nucleus of the male gamete to form primary endosperm nucleus, which is diploid. This primary endosperm nucleus. Primary endosperm nucleus. So where is this primary endosperm nucleus formed? Inside the embryo sac. The two polar nuclei fuse together to form the secondary nucleus. Again a male gamete that is released here fuses with this to form a primary endosperm nucleus. Now the cell that has primary endosperm nucleus transforms into primary endosperm cell. Okay? And meanwhile, one of the male gamete fuses with the egg cell to form the diploid zygote. Now what happens to the rest of the cells? Rest of the cells like synergid cells, 2 of the synergid cells and 3 antipodal cells get degenerated. Immediately after double fertilization, the 3 antipodal cells and the 2 synergid cells get degenerated. Okay. So now the fertilization process has been completed in the angiosperms, that is double fertilization. And one such fertilization where one of the male gamete fuses with the egg cell to form a diploid zygote is termed as syngamy. Is termed as syngamy. This process or this type of fusion is known as syngamy. And one more fusion, that is fusion of one male gamete with the secondary nucleus to form primary endosperm nucleus is called triple fusion. Triple fusion. So two kinds of fusion occurs during fertilization in angiosperm. One is syngamy, other one is triple fusion. So since two kinds of fertilization or fusion occurs in angiosperm, the angiosperms exhibit double fertilization. Okay. So after double fertilization, you know that inside the embryo sac or the female gametophyte, a diploid zygote is formed. Diploid zygote is formed and primary endosperm nucleus is formed, which has got a ploidy of 3N, that is triploid, and this primary endosperm nucleus is formed inside the central cell. Now the central cell is called as primary endosperm cell. Okay, primary endosperm nucleus is formed in primary endosperm cell. Okay. Now after double fertilization, that is in post-fertilization event, that is after fertilization, the zygote develops into embryo. Zygote develops into embryo. Primary endosperm nucleus that is present in the primary endosperm cell develops into endosperm. Develops into endosperm. Primary endosperm nucleus develops into endosperm. So ploidy of embryo is diploid, ploidy of endosperm is triploid. Okay. So after fertilization or during post-fertilization event, zygote develops into embryo and primary endosperm nucleus that is present inside the primary endosperm cell develops into endosperm. Okay. So meanwhile, the ovule, you know that the embryo sac is present inside the ovule. The ovule transforms into seed. Ovule transforms into seed and the ovary transforms into fruit. Okay. So these are the events that takes place after double fertilization in angiosperms. Zygote develops into embryo. Primary endosperm nucleus develops into endosperm, ovule gets transformed into seed and ovary gets transformed into fruit. Transformed into fruit. Okay, this is the post-fertilization event. Okay, so now the embryo can develop into a new plant body. So in this way the life cycle of angiosperm continues. So next let us note down about the classes of Angiosperms. Angiosperms are broadly classified into two classes, that is division Angiospermae includes two classes. They are class Dicotyledonnae and class Monocotyledonnae. Class Monocotyledonnae and class Dicotyledonnae. Class Dicotyledonnae. Angiosperms includes two classes. They are class Monocotyledonnae and class Dicotyledonnae. There are certain differences among monocots as well as dicots, or members of monocots and dicots. So members of class Monocotyledonnae have only one cotyledon in their embryo. They have got only one cotyledon in the seeds. One cotyledon in their seeds, whereas members of Dicotyledonnae have got two cotyledons in their seeds. Presence of two cotyledons in their seeds. And plants formed in the plants that are included under monocots produce trimerous flowers. Trimerous flowers, whereas the flowers that are formed in dicot plants may be tetramerous or pentamerous. Tetramerous or pentamerous. So monocots produce trimerous flowers. Trimerous flowers means the units of the petals or sepals may be in units of 3 or multiples of 3. Okay, the flower has the units in number in 3 or multiples of 3. That is known as trimerous. They may be having 3 petals, 6 petals, 9 petals, etc. Whereas in case of dicot plants, they may produce tetramerous or pentamerous flowers. Tetramerous means flowers having petals in 4 or multiples of 4. Pentamerous means flowers having petals 5 or multiples of 5. So monocots produce trimerous flowers, dicots produce either tetramerous or pentamerous flowers. Okay. So next, coming to the root system of these plants. Monocots mainly produce fibrous roots. So monocots mainly have fibrous root system. Whereas dicot plants have taproot system. Then coming to the veins, arrangement of veins and veinlets in their leaves. The monocot plants have their leaves with parallel venation. Parallel venation in their leaves. Venation is the arrangement of veins and veinlets on the leaf, is known as venation. So monocot plants have leaves with parallel venation, whereas dicot plants have leaves with reticulate venation. Reticulate venation means veins and veinlets are arranged in the form of a network, highly branched network like venation. That is known as reticulate venation. So these are some of the differences between members of monocots and dicots, or the members that are included under Monocotyledonnae and Dicotyledonnae. We call those plants which are included under Monocotyledonnae as monocots, and those plants which are included under Dicotyledonnae as dicot plants or dicots. Okay, so these are the differences between monocots and dicots. Example for monocots. Example, grass is a monocot, wheat is a monocot plant, banana is monocot plant. Okay. Example for dicots. Sunflower is a dicot plant. Sunflower is dicot plant. Then mango is a dicot plant. Mango is a dicot plant, and beans, pea plants are dicot plants. Pea plants, mustard plants, they are all dicot plants. Okay. So these are some of the differences between monocots and dicots, examples under monocots and examples under dicots. Okay. Similarly, like how other plants undergoes alternation of generation, even the angiosperms also exhibit alternation of generation. The dominant plant body is sporophyte. From the sporophyte, very highly reduced structures known as gametophytes are formed within the specialized structures known as flowers, and these gametophytes produce gametes. Gametes fuse together to form the zygote, and zygote develops into embryo, and embryo develops into a new plant body, that is sporophyte. So always a sporophytic generation and gametophytic generation occur alternate to each other. So even the angiosperms also exhibit alternation of generation. So by this we have studied all the 5 divisions under kingdom Plantae. They are algae, bryophytes, pteridophytes, gymnosperms and angiosperms. So next we have to discuss about the life cycle, various types of life cycle in plants. There are mainly 3 different kinds of life cycle in plants. We have to note down about the difference between these 3 kinds of life cycle in plants.